Okay, and for the discussion prompts, for this one, I think based on some of the discussion we just had in the poem, you can kind of defend your position on what you feel about the poem. And then finally, let's look at On Turning 10 by Billy Collins. So the theme is the idea of coming of age. You're leaving your childhood behind. And it might seem kind of strange, the whole idea of someone being 10. So I want to jump down to number 6, making real life connections. Why choose the age of 10? I mean, it seems like when we look at 10-year-olds, they still have imagination, but they certainly don't have the imagination of someone that is a toddler, or I mean, they're wise enough at that point to know to not have imaginary friends. So the age of 10 still has some innocence, but there's still a lot that's left behind. So 10 could be a good age to kind of start recognizing what you're losing, whereas at the age of 40, you might not remember the things that you thought of. You might not even remember unless you had a parent tell you that you had an imaginary friend. I thought of, as I was reading this, I thought of the idea of Peter Pan, the character of Peter Pan, particularly in the film version with Robin Williams, where Williams's character, his adult character, forgets that he was even Peter Pan in the first place. So the whole premise that when you grow up, it steals our innocence and our imagination and the possibility that we might have in life. So going back up to number 1, the theme, the hopes, dreams, and simplicity of childhood, which disappear with age and experience. And the genre on this is free verse, so there's not really any rhyme to it. And then the verification, the order that things are presented might have some significance, like the first stanza references to sickness, negative connotations. In the second stanza, the second and third lines, a nostalgic yearning. The last 4 lines, humorous, childlike dreams and images. And the third stanza is more serious. Tone contrasts with the previous stanza, and the fourth stanza is the repetition of time. So what are some of the significance of those? And that could be something that you could write an essay about. And then the figures of speech. Metaphor is pretty important in here. So measles of the spirit. Our spirit doesn't get measles, our body does. Mumps of the psyche. So our psyche can have a lot of different mental illnesses, but mumps is not a disease that they would get. And disfiguring chickenpox of the soul. So why would he use these metaphors? Perhaps it's because childhood illnesses which make the body sick are showing that figuratively aging is making the mind sick or weak. Since he now can't imagine himself, this boy who's 10 can't imagine himself being invisible anymore, or think of himself as a soldier or a prince anymore. Reality starting to sink in, and so maybe his mind doesn't have the hopes and possibilities that it used to. So also these diseases can change the body, just like aging is changing his mind. Also the tone in this is very sad. So again, these ideas can help us look at this poem and find its significant meaning. Now let's say I was writing an essay about it. So for my essay for the week on poetry, that my rough draft is due on Sunday. So I might make the idea that this poem actually is grieving the loss of childhood and that the coming of age and that different life stages. And so you could look at it from the age of 10 and then compare and contrast what that 10-year-old lost from 10 to when he was a few years younger, and compare what you might feel like you've lost as an adult versus when you were 10 or even younger. So those are some things that you could talk about. You could talk about that these connections and these metaphors that are using have a lot of meaning and have a lot of significance to real life, and write a 5+ paragraph essay on that. If you have any specific questions on these, then what these then these screencasts can give you insight on, then certainly I would recommend that you text me, because I can get back to you a lot quicker on that. And then if you have any other questions, just let me know. Take care.